I was looking for the TV remote. That's all I wanted. Just the damn remote. Julius had rushed out for a work meeting and the game was about to start. I checked under the couch, in the drawers, then in his small cabinet where he kept random things. Batteries, old receipts, pens that never worked. I saw a phone I didn't recognize. It was an old Android. Cracked screen, no fingerprint lock. Just a simple pattern swipe. I hesitated, then curiosity won. The first thing I opened was the gallery. The last photo made my whole body freeze. A little girl blowing out birthday candles. She had his dimples. Next photo, Julius holding a baby boy. Another, a woman dark-skinned, pretty in a red dress, taking a mirror selfie with him. He was kissing her cheek. The caption read, Family Sunday. There were more, so many more. 3 children, same man, the same smile he used to give me. I dropped the phone and sat on the edge of the couch. I wasn't crying yet. I wasn't even breathing right. I just stared at the TV screen, still showing the no signal message. My stomach twisted. My hands went cold. He has a whole other family. We met in church. That's how these things often start, right? He was on the sound team. I was in the choir. Julius had this calm way of talking that made you trust him without even thinking. And when he said, let's build something slow, something solid, I believed him. We got married 2 years later. 6 months into the marriage, I brought up children. I want us to enjoy each other first, he said, stroking my hair. I want to give our kids the best life. Let me get stable first. Okay, I said. We went to a clinic together. He sat beside me as the doctor explained birth control pills. She'll need to take 1 daily, same time. No skipping, the doctor said. Julius nodded like it was his idea. We're in no rush. When the time is right, we'll know. So I took them. Every morning, 8 a.m. sharp. Even when they made me nauseous. Even when my periods got weird. Even when I started gaining weight, I couldn't explain. I was patient. I trusted him. I told my mom we were waiting for the right time. I told my friends we were working on our dreams first. 10 years passed. 10 years. They say time flies when you're happy, but when you're waiting, when every year feels like a silent promise that never shows up, time doesn't fly. It drags its feet, slow and heavy, like it's mocking you. That's how it was for me. 10 years of waiting. 10 years of believing we were building. I took those pills every morning at 8 a.m., like a ritual. My body hated them. Sometimes they made me dizzy. Other times I bled twice in 1 month. But I took them because Julius said he wasn't ready, and I wanted to be the supportive wife, the patient wife, the understanding wife. That was my role. So I played it. I remember one morning I was sitting at the kitchen counter with a mug of hot cocoa. Julius walked in, adjusting his tie, smelling like wood and mint. He kissed my cheek, grabbed a piece of toast, and as he rushed out the door, he said, "Don't forget your pill, babe." I smiled. I already took it. He winked. My organized woman. And that was it. That was love, I thought. Him trusting me to plan our future. Me doing what needed to be done. But looking back now, it was control. Quiet control. Covered in soft words. You want to know the truth? I didn't just give up having kids for Julius. I gave up a lot more. There was a job opportunity in Ghana, 4 years into our marriage. A bank was setting up a new tech branch, and they needed someone experienced in system operations. A friend had passed my name along. The pay was good, very good. They were even offering relocation support. When I told Julius, his face went stiff. Just for a second. Then he smiled. But Ghana, babe? That's far. I know, but it's a big step. And he cut in. And we just got married. What's the point of building a life together if we're going to be in different countries? I sat quietly. Then I said, I thought we were building wealth too. He sighed and came to hug me from behind. Let's grow here first. Then when we're both stable, you can take jobs anywhere. I turned down the offer. Another time, about 7 years in, I stopped taking the pills. Just for a week. It wasn't on purpose. I had malaria, and the doctor told me to rest and avoid extra medication. Julius was away on a business trip in Port Harcourt. I forgot one morning. Then 2, then 3. My body felt lighter. My mood improved. When Julius got back and found the pack unopened, he was angry, but calm about it. I thought we agreed, he said, standing by the bathroom sink. We're not there yet. Sabrina. I was sick, I said. I was told to avoid other meds for a while. He didn't yell. Julius never yelled. He just went silent for hours. That's how he punished me. Silence. Distance. That night, I started taking the pills again. Not because I wanted to, but because I didn't want to lose him. Isn't that funny? I was more afraid of losing my husband than losing myself. People around us started asking questions. Sabrina, you've been married how many years now? 12. I'd answer, smiling. No kids? We're planning, I'd say. And when the smile felt fake, I'd look away quickly. Some people would press. My dear, better hurry-o. Time waits for no woman. You know you're not getting younger, right? I'd nod politely, then cry in the bathroom. I remember one evening in particular. Julius and I had gone to his friend's child's birthday party. The place was full of kids, balloons, noise, laughter. At some point, a woman walked up to me and said, "You'd make such a lovely mum. Why haven't you tried yet?" Tried. Like it was a test I hadn't studied for. I gave the usual answer. We're waiting for the right time. She smiled and whispered, "Don't wait too long, my sister. Some men won't tell you the truth." I laughed. It was awkward, but something about that sentence stayed with me. I didn't understand it then. But now, I do. You want to know what really hurts? I supported Julius through everything. I carried his dreams like they were mine. When his printing business failed, I used my savings to help him start a logistics company. I designed the logo. I built the website. I even drove delivery trucks when he was short on staff. I cooked for his friends. I hosted his mother. I remembered all the dates he forgot. Birthdays, anniversaries, appointments. I played wife, secretary, cheerleader, nurse, therapist, all of it. And through it all, I waited. I waited for the baby talks to resume. I waited for the "we're ready now" moment. I waited for my turn to be a mother. And each year that passed, I reminded myself that this was love, that good women wait, that good wives support their husbands. But the truth? I was shrinking. Slowly, quietly, like a candle burning down in a closed room. One night, about 2 years ago, I brought up adoption. We were in bed. The AC hummed softly. Julius was scrolling through his phone. I turned to him and said, "What if we adopt?" He paused. Adopt? Yeah, a baby, or even an older child, someone who needs a home. He sat up. Why would we do that? Because we've been waiting for a long time. Maybe it's time to be parents, even if it's not through birth. He looked at me like I'd spoken in another language. I said I'm not ready, he snapped. Why are you trying to force it? I blinked. It's been 10 years, Julius. He stood up and grabbed his pillow. I'm not doing this tonight. He slept on the couch. That's when I started to feel like maybe I was the only one actually planning this future. Maybe I was building alone, but still I didn't suspect he had another family. I didn't think that was even possible. I thought I was his everything. I thought all the waiting was because he wanted our child to have the best. I thought, but then again, lies wear soft clothes. They never come in with horns. I remember one evening he came home late. He smelled like baby powder. I noticed. I even joked, "Whose baby did you carry today?" I laughed. He smiled. My friend's new baby. I stopped by their place. I nodded. I believed him. That was the problem. I always believed him. Would you believe I even started a savings account for our future baby? I called it Hope Fund. Every time I got a bonus or extra cash, I'd drop something inside. I even wrote a letter to our future child once. "Dear baby, your daddy and I can't wait to meet you." I kept it in a box under the bed, with baby name ideas, nursery color samples, books on parenting, all of it. A dream I built alone, a hope I fed like a fire in the dark. And while I was waiting in the shadows, Julius was living in the light, with 3 children and another woman, calling him daddy. The funny thing about red flags? They don't always look red when your heart is busy making excuses. They look like he's tired, like work is stressing him, like every marriage has its seasons, like he's just not good at expressing himself. That's how I missed them. Or maybe I didn't miss them, I just didn't want to see. It started small. Late night calls he would never answer beside me. The phone would ring, and he'd glance at it, then flip it down face first like he was tired of the world. Sometimes he'd say, "Work call," and step outside to take it. I believed him. Then came the business trips that were always last minute. He'd pack overnight, say there was an emergency delivery to Port Harcourt or Kaduna. Sometimes he'd be gone for 2 days, sometimes 4. No FaceTime, no pictures, just a few texts saying, "Safe, I'm okay, love you." He'd come back with gifts, perfume, handbags, shoes, always with a smile, always warm, like he was trying to cover something or distract me, and it worked. For years, it worked. Once I asked if I could join him on one of his trips, just to see his work, understand his schedule. He smiled, but his answer was immediate. Babe, you'll be bored. There's nothing romantic about sitting in a truck warehouse in Onitsha. Still, I pressed. I don't mind. I just want to be close to you. That's when his smile faded a bit. Sabrina, it's not safe. I don't want anything to happen to you. Let's plan a real trip, okay? Maybe Ghana or Dubai. Something nice for just us. I nodded and dropped it because I thought his concern meant love. He also became strangely protective of his second phone. Yes, Julius had 2 phones. The main one everyone knew, his regular number, WhatsApp, emails, even our joint bank app, and the business line. That one rarely rang. But when it did, he would always walk away to pick it. If he left it at home by mistake, which was rare, he'd call me frantically from his other line. Babe, please help me switch off the other phone. It has important work files. I don't want anything to go wrong. Once, I asked why he never let me check it, not even to answer simple texts. He laughed. What do you want to see? Truck tires and delivery receipts? Again, I smiled. Again, I let it go. We had fewer conversations about the future and more about right now. I'd bring up planning for a child again, and he'd brush it off. Work is hard these days. Let's give it 1 more year. I want to clear all debts first. One day I told him, I'm not getting any younger, Julius. If we're not careful, we'll wake up and it'll be too late. He gave me a tired look. You think I don't know that? You think I'm just playing around? Then he walked out of the room, again. But the real turning point? It was a Sunday afternoon. We'd just come back from church. He was in the kitchen making iba. I was in the living room, scrolling through Instagram, waiting for him to bring the soup. He'd left his main phone on the center table, and I noticed a notification flash across the screen. Kayla, Daddy, don't forget to bring my pink bag. I froze. I'd never heard that name before. And Daddy? I picked the phone. Opened the message. It was a WhatsApp chat. The display picture was of a little girl in a school uniform, about 6 or 7 years old. She had beads in her hair. She was standing in front of a gate, holding up 2 fingers in a peace sign. My heart started pounding. I clicked the chat. There were voice notes, photos, drawings of me and Daddy with hearts and stick figures. I opened one voice note. The little girl's voice was soft and sweet. Hi, Daddy. I made a card for you in school. I love you. I sat back slowly, the phone still in my hand. My fingers shook. I had no words. Then I heard him calling. Babe, can you bring me water? I quickly locked the phone and set it back where I found it. Coming, I shouted. That night, after dinner, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, heart racing. I kept asking myself, who is she? Just a child he helped support? A distant cousin's daughter? Someone from church? But deep down, I knew what it meant, but my mind refused to accept it. The next few days, I became a detective, quietly. I checked his drawer and found his second phone, the one he guarded like a vault. That was the day I found everything. It wasn't locked. The pattern code was simple, our wedding anniversary. Stupid me. Inside, there were dozens of photos. Photos of them. The woman in the red dress. The same one I'd seen years ago at a wedding reception. Back then, she was introduced to me as one of Julius's old classmates. There she was, standing beside him in a family selfie. 3 children, all under the age of 10. Kayla, Michael, and the baby, Teef. My chest felt tight. I started sweating. I saw pictures of them at the beach, at a mall, at someone's birthday. One of the kids wore a shirt that said, "Best dad ever." I scrolled through messages between him and the woman. Her name was Vanessa. Babe, the kids miss you. Come over tomorrow. I made that soup you like. Don't forget Kayla's school fees. I kept scrolling. My fingers were numb. My soul, even number. There was a video too, one of Julius carrying the baby and singing to him. He looked happy, free, like a man living his best life. I didn't cry. Not then. I just sat there on the floor of the bedroom with the phone in my lap and my entire life flashing like a slideshow in my head. The pills, the lies, the silent nights, the missed job offers, the lonely birthdays, the times he said, "We're not ready yet." All of it made sense now. He was ready. Just not with me. That evening, I didn't say a word. I cooked dinner. I smiled when he walked in. I even laughed at his silly joke about traffic. But inside, I was breaking. I wanted to scream. Throw the hot pot of rice at him, tear his shirts, curse, cry, collapse. But I didn't. I needed time to plan, time to gather strength, because something in me had finally snapped. Not loudly, not with fire, but with the quiet finality of a door shutting in the dark. I waited 3 full days. 3 days of watching him come home, eat the food I cooked, sleep in the bed we shared, and kiss me on the cheek like a man with a clean conscience. 3 days of smiling when I wanted to scream. I didn't confront him immediately because I wasn't ready to hear his lies. Not yet. I needed to hold my proof. I needed to feel in control, even if just for once in this marriage. So I printed photos, screenshotted messages, saved voice notes, put everything neatly in a brown envelope. Not because I wanted drama, but because I wanted him to see what I saw. I wanted him to look his lies in the face, like I did. And when I was done preparing, I waited for the right moment. It came on a Thursday evening. He came home at 7:12 p.m. I remember the exact time because I kept checking the clock every 5 minutes, heart pounding. The moment he stepped inside, I knew there was no turning back. He looked tired, dropped his bag on the chair, untied his shoes slowly. "Babe," he called out, "that stew from yesterday, do we still have some left? I'm starving." "In the kitchen," I said from the dining room, trying to keep my voice steady. He walked past me, heading toward the kitchen. "Come sit," I added. "Let me show you something first." He paused, glanced back at me. "Now?" he asked. "Yes, now." He sat down across from me at the table, blinking like he was trying to read my mood. I placed the brown envelope in front of him. "What's this?" he asked, reaching for it. "Open it," I said. He slid out the papers. Photos, screenshots, messages. A printout of a bank alert where he paid school fees to St. Harmony School for Kayla and Michael. He stared, then flipped through them slowly. No words, just silence. A thick, heavy silence. I sat there, hands folded in my lap, watching his face, watching the slow crack begin. After about a minute, he cleared his throat. "Sabrina?" I raised my hand. "Don't start with 'I can explain.' Just tell me the truth. All of it, right here, right now." He stared at me, then looked down again. After a long pause, he said, "It wasn't planned." I felt my chest tighten. "So it's true?" I asked, even though the evidence was sitting right there. "Yes," he said, voice low. "It's true." 3 words. That's all it took. 10 years of waiting wiped out in 3 short words. I felt a sharp pain in my throat, like I'd swallowed broken glass. "How long, Julius?" I whispered. He didn't answer. "How long have you had this family?" He rubbed his forehead like the truth was weighing on it. "About 8 years." I blinked. "8?" I repeated. 8 years, he nodded once, slowly. My voice rose, shaky but loud. 8 years, Julius. I've been taking pills for 10, waiting for you to be ready. Meanwhile, you were raising 3 children behind my back? "They weren't planned," he said quickly, like that made it better. "Vanessa got pregnant, and I didn't know what to do. I was scared. I didn't want to hurt you." I stood up. "You didn't want to hurt me?" He stood up too, hands out like he was trying to calm a storm. "I swear, Sabrina, I didn't mean for it to go this far. I got stuck." "Stuck?" I laughed bitterly. "You got stuck for 8 years? Did the woman force you into school runs, birthday cakes, and matching t-shirts? Did the children force you to call them my babies?" "Sabrina, please. Don't say my name like that." I was shaking now. Anger, pain, humiliation. They were all crashing into me at once. "I begged you," I said, my voice cracking. "I begged you to start a family with me. You said not now. You said we're not ready. Meanwhile, you were starting a whole new life with someone else." He sat down again, held his head in his hands. "I didn't want to lose you," he said, almost in a whisper. Tears filled my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. "Not yet. You lost me the moment you decided I wasn't enough," I said, "and you kept pretending, kept lying, kept letting me believe I was the problem." He didn't argue, didn't deny anything, just sat there, breathing heavily like someone who'd finally dropped a weight too heavy to carry. And maybe he had, but it was me who had been crushed underneath it for years. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the nights I had cried quietly into my pillow, wondering why he didn't want a child with me, wondering if maybe I wasn't good enough, pretty enough, healthy enough. All that self-blame, while he was somewhere else playing house with another woman. The betrayal wasn't just in the cheating. It was in the silence, in the stolen years. in the way he let me keep waiting, knowing full well he'd already moved on emotionally. The next morning, I told him not to speak to me. I needed space. He nodded like a man who knew better than to argue now. He went to the guest room and stayed there, like a stranger, like a man who had finally run out of lies. I opened the drawer beside our bed and stared at the pill pack. Still full, still waiting, just like me. I picked it up, walked to the kitchen, and dropped it into the trash. I wasn't going to keep taking something that only benefited a man who didn't care about my body, my future, or my heart. Later that day, I opened a locked box under the bed. Inside were baby name lists. A knitted yellow cap I had once bought at a charity shop because it was too cute to leave behind. A book on preparing for motherhood. I sat on the floor and cried for the first time. Not soft tears, not graceful soap opera tears. I wept like someone mourning a death. Because something had died. Not just my dream of motherhood with Julius. But the image I had of myself, patient, loyal, loved. I wasn't any of those things. I was alone, and I was angry. The next day, I called in sick to work and took a walk. I needed air, space, silence. But the world was noisy. Children playing, mothers shouting, cars honking. And through it all, I walked like a ghost, replaying every lie Julius ever told me. Every smile he gave me after coming back from Vanessa's house. Every fake, I love you, whispered while another woman probably slept with his name on her pillow. I sat at a park bench and watched a little boy chase a butterfly. And I broke down again. I could have had that. I should have had that, if only I hadn't trusted the wrong man. That night, I told him we would talk properly soon, but not yet. He nodded, defeated. I could tell he was waiting for me to forgive him, waiting for me to calm down and go back to normal. But what he didn't realize was, the old me was gone. Something new was growing in the space where patience used to live. Something stronger, something clearer. For the first time in 10 years, I stopped waiting. I didn't wait for him to wake up. I didn't wait for his apology to sound sincere. I didn't wait for him to beg. And I didn't wait for permission to start healing. Something changed in me. It wasn't loud. It didn't come with fireworks or dramatic music like in the movies. It came quietly, like the way rain starts with a single drop. Just one, and then another, and another, until you look around and realize everything's wet. That was how it felt. Each truth I faced soaked me a little more. Each broken dream, each wasted year, until I was drenched in reality. And I couldn't ignore it anymore. I started talking to myself out loud. I know it sounds crazy, but I needed to hear my own voice again. For so long, I had lived in Julius's world, his timeline, his plans, his comfort. I had let my needs shrink so small they could fit in a pill packet. I used to whisper things like, just wait a little longer, or he means well, or it'll all work out. But now my whispers had changed. Now I was saying, you deserve better. You matter too. You are not broken. One evening, about 2 weeks after the confrontation, I sat in the bedroom staring at myself in the mirror. It felt like I was meeting someone new. I studied my face, the faint lines near my eyes, the softness in my cheeks, the tiredness behind my smile. I hadn't really looked at myself in a long time. I picked up my brush and began combing my hair slowly, gently, like a mother would for a child. As I did, I whispered, I'm sorry. Not to Julius. To me. I'm sorry for the times I doubted you, for every time I swallowed your pain to protect his pride, for putting your dreams on hold, for making yourself small just to make him feel big. And as I whispered those words, something loosened in my chest. I didn't cry. I just breathed, deeply, for the first time in a long time. That week, I packed a bag and moved to my sister's house for a few days. No long speech, no goodbye letter, just a short note on the table. Don't call me. I need time and space. I'll let you know when I'm ready to speak. I didn't take much, just a few clothes, my laptop, and the envelope of proof I had printed. Not because I needed it anymore, but because I wasn't going to gaslight myself later into thinking I had imagined it all. At my sister's house, I felt like a guest in someone else's piece. Her home was warm, full of laughter, toys on the floor, the smell of fried plantain in the air. Her husband kissed her on the forehead every morning. Her children fought over cereal. And I realized something. I had been surviving, not living. I had built a life around silence and sacrifice. I had stayed so loyal to the idea of us that I forgot me even existed. My sister sat with me one night as we drank tea on her balcony. Sabrina, she said gently, "What are you going to do?" I stared into my cup. "I don't know," I whispered. "I gave him everything. What's left of me now?" She reached for my hand. "You," she said. "You are what's left. And you're more than enough." The next morning, I booked an appointment with a therapist. I didn't tell anyone, not even my sister. I just went. I told the therapist everything, from the first pill to the last betrayal. She listened, she nodded, she didn't rush me, and then she said something I'll never forget. It's not just about what he did, it's about what you've learned. Healing isn't about getting back to who you were. It's about becoming someone new, someone wiser. I nodded. I was ready. 3 weeks later, I returned to the house. Julius was sitting in the living room when I walked in. He stood up quickly, like he was expecting a reconciliation. "Sabrina," he said, "I've been waiting. I've been thinking. I've changed, I swear. I'll fix everything." I held up my hand. "Stop." He froze. I sat down across from him, calm, clear. "You didn't just cheat on me, Julius. You erased me. You watched me suffer and said nothing. You let me carry the shame of childlessness while you were raising a family in secret." "I know," he whispered, his voice shaking. "No, you don't," I replied, "because if you did, you wouldn't be asking me to fix something you shattered." He was quiet, and then, for the first time in years, I said the words I had been too afraid to say. "I'm done." He blinked. "What do you mean?" "I mean we're over. This marriage is over. I'm not staying in a life that was never truly mine." He started crying. I didn't, not because I wasn't hurt, but because I had already cried all my tears. Now, I was dry. Now I was done. I filed for divorce a week later. People whispered. Family members called. His mother came to beg. "Forgive him," she said. "Men make mistakes." I looked her in the eyes. For 10 years, she looked away. I moved into a small apartment. Nothing fancy, just enough for me. I stopped setting alarms for 8 a.m. No more pills. No more lies. No more waiting. And then something happened. About 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I went for a regular checkup. Nothing serious, just a routine health screening. The nurse asked the usual questions. "Are you on any medication?" "No," I smiled. "Not anymore." "Any chance you might be pregnant?" I laughed. "Highly unlikely." But still, she ran the test. She came back with wide eyes. "Ma'am," she said, holding the paper, "you're pregnant." I froze. "What?" "You're about 5 weeks." I blinked. "But I thought no complications," she said. "Perfectly healthy. Would you like to speak to a doctor?" I shook my head slowly. I didn't need a doctor. I needed a moment. I walked outside the hospital and stood in the sun. Pregnant. Me. After 10 years of being told to wait, my body chose now. Not for Julius. Not for anyone else. For me. That night, I stood in front of my mirror, touching my belly. It was still flat, still unchanged, but I felt different. There was life inside me, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. For the first time, I was no longer asking, "When will it be my turn?" It was my turn now. And I wasn't afraid. Not anymore. I didn't know what kind of mother I'd be. I didn't know how hard it would be to do it alone. But one thing I knew for sure, I would never make my child feel small the way I had felt. I would never lie to them the way Julius lied to me. And I would never let them believe that waiting in silence is the price of love. So I whispered one last thing to the mirror that night. You waited for love. Now you will raise love. And this time, love will not hurt. And I smiled, because for the first time in my life, I wasn't waiting. I was beginning.